come back. And so the first few days we went to Cannes, we went to Nice. We had a wonderful time. We drove all over the French Riviera and and Monaco and Monte Carlo. It was really nice. It was a fun time. And Sam, of course, he was the head of everything, and that was great. And then came, I think it was a Saturday night, and the Red Cross Gala. Well, Sam had let me know too late, and I didn't have any formal clothes. And Sam and Dorothy and everybody there were in white tie or black tie, I don't remember now, but very formal. What I did have with me was my uniform and a red scarf, silk scarf. So I put that on and came down, and of course Sam and Dorothy were very upset. Dorothy wasn't. Dorothy was a great gal. Sam was a little upset that I wasn't formally dressed, and I told him as a soldier in military, yes, I am formally dressed. And when we got into it was at the Hotel de Paris, or was it at the Summer Casino? I don't remember, but when we got into the ballroom, of course everybody was there and they were checking papers, and when I got there, everybody ran over to me, the security all came over to me and wanted to know which American general I was accompanying. It was funny. Anyway, our table, we had a beautiful table. There were 6 of us at the table. And our table just happened to be right next to Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly and their troop, right next door. We lived. So during the course of the early part of the evening, there was a lot of dancing. And I was always a very good dancer. And so everybody was dancing, but the Prince was, he and Grace did a very formal dance to start the evening, all by themselves out on the dance floor. And then he didn't dance at all. He was busy over there. He was busy talking to these people. And she was sitting at the table all by herself. And Sam and Dorothy were out dancing. And I turned around and I walked up right across to the next table. And I said, would you like to dance? And she just looked at me and she started to laugh. And she said, I thought you were never going to ask. And so we danced quite a bit. Now, mind you, she was in her 9th month. We danced quite a bit that night. But this was before the actual festivities. And when Sam and Dorothy saw me dancing with Princess Grace, I think Sam must have had a heart attack. He was so blown away. Dorothy laughed. She thought it was wonderful, and everybody in the room. And these were all the dignitaries of the time, and the social dignitaries and military dignitaries from various countries, and everybody wanted to know who I was. And it was very, very funny. And then, of course, we went through the gala and everything. And then I danced a few more dances with her, and I could see that on the prince's face he wasn't very happy with me. If it weren't for the fact that she really was enjoying herself so much just dancing and talking to an American, because everybody there was, very few Americans were at the ball. And so the night went on, and Sam and Dorothy and I left. And when I had met a young countess, I think she was, from Liechtenstein. I think that was the country. A young girl. She must have been about 19, 20 years old. And I was dancing with her also, and she was very fun. And when Sam said, come on, we're leaving, it had to be around 10 o'clock at night. And I said, okay, and then I remember this girl saying to me, are you coming back? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'll try. And she said, well, there's going to be a big party on Onassis' yacht. it was moored in Monaco Bay in the harbor. And I said to myself, hell, I don't want to miss that. So I went back to the rooms with Sam and Dorothy, and I kissed Dorothy goodnight and shook Sam's hand because that's the way he was shaking him very. And they were all on the same floor, and so they watched me go into the room. And I waited and waited, and when I looked down the hall, they were gone, so I went right back to the ball, still in the same uniform. And we went on for, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning at the ball. And everybody, we just had a ball. And then everybody, not everybody, but most everybody that was at the ball, we went over to the summer casino and then to the dock. There was a pier where these beautiful launches were taking everybody out to the yacht. Now this was Onassis' yacht, and he was much younger then. And so I got on the boat with this countess from Liechtenstein, and we had a ball. I spent till 2 or 3 in the morning on the yacht, and having a lot of fun. And people could come and go because they had these launches back and forth like ferries, back and forth at a time. So just before sunup, I figured that I better go because Sam was a very, very early riser. And I said good night to this countess. No, actually she went with me. We went back to the launch and we went together, and she was staying at the Hotel de Paris. And I had to get back to my room, and I got back to the room just about the time the sun was coming up. And I finally got out of the uniform, and I took a shower, and I figured I'd lie down for a few minutes. But just as I lied down, the telephone rang, and it was Sam, and he was like, "Come on, we're getting up. What are you still doing, sleeping?" And well, so I got up, and we went down, had breakfast with them, and off we went touring somewhere, I don't remember where. The next night was, I don't know, it was Sunday night, I think it was. And we were having dinner. We had dinner at the Hotel de Paris. No, we had dinner at the Summer Casino. I think it was. I don't remember that. The two of them were so mixed up in my mind. And Sam, of course, was gambling, and I was gambling. And at 10 o'clock at night, whatever happened, of course, my gambling was, when he was gambling $100 bills, I was gambling dollar bills. It was that kind of thing. And he was annoyed that I was gambling. He was absolutely annoyed that I was gambling. And he said, "You're too young for that. You don't have the kind of cash, and you're just going to lose everything. And I don't want to have to keep feeding you." Well, the more I think about this, the more I laugh. And sure enough, 10 o'clock came, they're back to bed. I went with them. Then I came back out again, which I did every night, by the way. And I met wonderful people in the town. I was in taverns, but they weren't called taverns. They were called, I forget what they were. And I met people and just had a ball every night. But this night was the night after the gala. And I'm walking. I think you could walk from the Hotel de Paris, if I remember correctly, to the Summer Casino. And I'm trying to remember the logistics of it. I can't. So there I was in my regular clothes, and there's a big theater, beautiful theater between the two places. And I'm just walking around, and I'm ready to go to town and get together with all the people I meet. And I was going to meet this countess in town that night. And all of a sudden, I turn around and towards the hotel, and there's this whole crowd, dressed to the nines, not necessarily formal, but dressed to the nines, and they're all coming towards me. And I just stopped, and I looked, and they all recognized me and smiled and said hello, and they all passed me, and I turned around and I followed them. And sure enough, they all went into the theater. and I was the last one to come in. And they were all seating and seating and seating. And before I looked around. There was no seats available. I don't know, had no idea what they were there for. But the whole first row was empty. Oh God, I was such a. So I walked down the right. There were two aisles, and I walked down the right aisle, and I got to the front. And I turned left, and I walked in, and I sat right in the middle of the front row, and there was a hush. And no sooner that I had sat down, than out came these trumpeters with these long trumpets with banners hanging from them, and all dressed in period clothing. And they were bugling and trumpeting, and the next thing I know, Princess Grace is coming down this aisle with an entourage behind her, and the prince is coming down that aisle with an entourage behind him. And when they get to the front and they turn and they look at me, well, Princess Grace, she got hysterical. She was laughing so hard, and everybody was laughing in the theater because everybody but the prince. When I turned to him, oh, he was angry. And so, but he loved her so much, and and so they came in, and it was the funniest thing you ever saw. She sat here, he sat here, and somebody didn't get a seat. I don't know who, but next to her was this young girl, and I can't remember her name. She was an actress, a young actress. Let's see if I even have it written down, because I knew I was going to tell this story. Well, anyway, and sitting next to, sitting next to the prince was this young girl, and sitting next to the princess was, let me think a minute. Give me a second.